Okay, so let's do our second video for our bureaucracy flashcards. The bureaucracy is made up, as I had mentioned before, of 2.8 million employees. And where do these people come from? Well, first of all, they're all part of the civil service system, the system that governs how government employees are hired, how they're paid. Their pay is set by Congress. Congress funds the bureaucracy. They're usually paid on a pay scale that has different grades, and they'll be promoted based on levels of service, and there's usually a very clear formula that's in place for that. The vast majority of jobs are now based on a merit system. It didn't used to be this way. In fact, in the late 1800s, it was a major debate about getting rid of what was known as the spoil system, in which the bureaucracy jobs, bureaucratic jobs, government jobs were just doled out to supporters in a way of just basically bribing people for political support. So there aren't many political patronage jobs. Now, high-level jobs are political appointees, so the heads of agencies or the deputy heads. There are many jobs, thousands really, that the president appoints, but most of the 2.5 million are non-political positions. These are often career employees, and merit means that they are awarded based on, at least theoretically, what people's qualifications and skills are. So over here, we move on to talk about two concepts that are important: discretionary authority and rulemaking. So we have a few examples here: Department of Homeland Security, Department of Transportation, and the Department of Veterans Affairs. These are all cabinet level agencies. Usually if it's called a department of, then that kind of cues you in that it's a cabinet level, the highest level. For a bureaucratic agency, a cabinet agency, to have discretion, this really means that they can decide whether or not to write rules related to their area of expertise. For example, if you're looking at transportation, then they have discretion over a wide variety of rulemaking authorities, whether it's how to mark highways or what speed limits could be, or what air traffic control regulations need to be. They can use their discretion, their decision, their expertise to make rules and determine what those rules need to be. So if something is discretionary, it means they're deciding to exercise their authority. And if they're writing a rule, they're actually writing it down. They're explaining what needs to happen, what people need to do. And these rules have the force of law. So if an automaker, violates a emission standard, that is a violation of a government rule, and it's punishable. These are some key examples of cabinet departments. If we go down below, we have another cabinet department, Department of Education. This would be an independent government agency, an executive agency. They're more specialized, Environmental Protection Agency. They'll be issuing rules and regulations, and exercising their authority of discretion over what rules they will regulate. They will write into the federal law. The Federal Elections Commission, they regulate elections and financing. So, as an example of a set of rules that they have, are filing deadlines where candidates in elections need to provide paperwork indicating how much money they had raised and what their money is being spent on for the election. And there are certain financial limits, things we'll talk about later in the course. So those are rules. They can exercise discretion about if somebody violates a rule, what potential penalty be. And then you have a little cutoff here. Sorry about that. The Securities and Exchange Commission. This is an independent regulatory commission. If we go back up here, we have Independent Regulatory Commission, Securities and Exchange. This was the EPA. We talked about some cabinet departments. Securities and Exchange Commission is really going to be regulating the stock market, and they're supposed to be, apolitical and have a little more independence than maybe some of these other policy areas. So we'll just stop here, and we'll do one more video after this for our